All right, let's get into it and stop talking about my Marvel Rivals rank. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 65 of the GGG Podcast. Happy to be here. Got some more news this week to talk about. We're going to be talking about, for our main topic, Multiverses shutting down. Not only discontinuing service, but literally shutting their servers down. And Phil and I are not too excited about that. Phil, how's your week been? Are you stoked to the max to be here? Is your dog excited? What's going on over there?
I sneezed, and my dog, I don't think has experienced that before, so she's looking at me and wondering if I'm dying. But other than that, I'm doing great. She's like, what was that? What came out of your head, you silly man? Yes. Otherwise, the week has been pretty good. I've been played a good amount of Magic and a good amount of Multiverses. My not Multiverses, not anymore. Marvel Rivals. There's been a new M in my life.
Yep.
I did get some time in with Subnautica, which I picked up recently because I remember enjoying the heck out of it and knowing one day I'd come back to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been those three. Any other games? Sorry, I need to look at my computer and see.
Yeah, go through your recents. Yeah.
Oh, and some Eternal Strands. Like, very fun game. Very good. Lots of... It's definitely the type of game where I want to play more, but then life keeps getting in the way.
Sure. Makes sense.
It's not an immediate obsession, but it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, this is great. I can't wait to discover more of what this game has to offer. And then I just get pulled off by something else, or just have to go in and do my Marvel's dailies.
Gotta do the dailies. So, yeah,
gotta do the dailies.
I get it.
How about you? What have you been playing?
Pretty much the same. A lot of Marvel Rivals. Too much, in fact.
Good.
So I'm still frustrated. I've seen, like, I might have talked about this last week a little bit, but I've seen like Reddit posts now of people complaining about the speed limit on Marvel Rivals, as far as like the battle pass and whatnot. I finally caved. I bought the upgraded battle pass, and that helped get me through things. But it really, I don't know. It really just feels like there should just be one battle pass, and maybe they should just split the cost and have it be $15 instead of one at $10 and one at $20, because the $10 one is a joke. And the amount of time you have to play the game, and not even amount of time, but just the fact that you have to log in every single day, is a bit ridiculous. And I know, like, you can not log in for 3 days and then it builds up and then you have 3 days, but 3 days is the maximum it'll build up for. So that kind of irks me quite a bit. But
anyway. You
anyway,
have to time it just right if you're going to miss a day.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
So, just maybe make the progression better. You have a great game. Run with it. So I've been playing a lot of that. Still playing Helldivers periodically, Space Marine periodically. Played, I know I admitted last week I bought all the DLC for Elder Scrolls Online, because it was on sale for $18. And I was like, wow, that's like 6 DLC packs. I'm gonna why not? So I played a little
Have
bit.
You played a bunch of it?
I've gotten to, I think, level 12 with a friend of mine who's playing with me, and it's okay. It's always my problem with MMOs. It's just the gameplay sucks, and when the gameplay sucks, it's just, I don't know. And like, MMOs still really haven't figured out how to have good gameplay. Like, the newest MMO that I got into was New World, and I still feel like the gameplay there was lacking to an extent. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep trying and see if I can push through this wall, but I'm not having a ton of fun with it yet, because it's just running around talking to people, running around talking to people, running around talking to people.
I played it at launch, and I feel like that was kind of my issue with it too, where I was just like, okay, I'm a cool Khajiit, and like I occasionally go into a cave, but most of the time I'm just like, go and talk to this person, go and talk to that person, go and talk to this person. So
it's one thing like stepping into an MMO when it's been around for so long and you're like, what are all of these different systems that I have to learn? What's the crafting system is different from the alchemy system, which is different from the enchanting system. And then some of the systems is just like, why isn't this just like Skyrim? Why
Yeah.
like why does the enchanter's table have to be different than it was in Skyrim? Like, so I just
You
want
had it. Just do that. Just do the thing you did already, please.
Yeah, I should just play Skyrim.
Considering there's so many, I mean, there were in the years after Skyrim, so many Skyrim games that were, or so many Skyrim mods that were like attempts at multiplayer. It's just a bummer that they didn't do exactly that and hire those people and be like, here, make a slightly different story and then Skyrim multiplayer. But whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's Bethesda being Bethesda.
It's Bethesda being Bethesda. All right. Before we get into the rest of the podcast, if you haven't already liked and subscribed to our show on YouTube, please do so. And if you follow us over, if you're listening to us on the audio only version on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, follow us over there as well. We got a huge major game release this week, Phil. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's been the talk of the town. It is the advertisement to every video I click on online. It is, I keep seeing that very beautiful cinematic of him being tossed and, flirted with and then kicked and punched and all this other crazy stuff. And so far, game reviewers, the news sites, they are loving this game. They are saying it is a must-play RPG. It is incredibly immersive. There's lots of things that can happen and ways things can go. You let me know that you picked up this game. It seems like are we thinking this could be a early year Game of the Year nominee right here? I didn't see any 10s, but lots of 9s.
Well, I'm looking at the Metacritic right now. There is a good amount. I would say probably about 10, I think 11 10s.
Wow.
From different, at least things that are reputable enough to be on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Different outlets. And it's rocking an 88 right now, which is pretty good for Metacritic, especially first day. So maybe, I just don't know if it is... I'll have to play it. I'll have to play it before I can say, because it is definitely not the type of game that everyone is going to get into, and I mean that similarly to Elden Ring. Granted, everyone eventually got into that game, but it is a game that I feel like this is this company's Dark Souls, where they had Demon Souls. The game was real tough to get your head around.
Sure.
And they came back at it and refined everything and made Dark Souls, and then everyone was like, okay, so in about 4 games we're gonna have the perfect version of Kingdom Come that will sweep the Game of the Year awards, but that'll probably be in about 2032.
Wow. Okay. All right.
That's my prediction based on gaming trends.
Okay. Good to know. Well, yeah, I mean, I think I expressed this in some previous episodes, but my reticence with this game has been the gameplay. It's all of the gameplay that I see online. It's where it looks a little clunky and whatnot. But I think maybe the clunkiness is just the amount of immersion that the game is trying to put into it. I've seen recent updates of Cyberpunk, and how if you jump out of a car in today's version of Cybertrunk, sorry, in today's version of Cyberpunk,
Cybertrunk,
you'll see the camera of the first person view. It you roll over and your arms are swinging and everything, and it's it's adding that level of immersion if you're actually jumping out and rolling out of a car. Whereas the first version of it is just no, you're just out of the car, just like in a video game. You're just magically standing still and the car is driving away. And so I think a lot of camera work that I see in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is very much of that. Yeah, what does it look if you're really looking over there? You're now looking at your shoulder, is your arm reaching longer? It's not like you have this perfect, you're holding the gun like this all the time. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
I like that aspect of it. I like everything I've heard about the game, enough so to pick it up. But we're starting the month of kind of bangers.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, this obviously launches today,
Hmm.
the 4th, and then we have Avowed in 2 weeks, and
Yes.
yeah, 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and then not long after that, Monster Hunter Wilds,
Hmm.
and then March we're going to be kicking off pretty strong with Assassin's Creed. We're going to get 2 new characters in Marvel Rival. There's going to be lots to play, so hopefully this. Maybe this is like the strong start to keep us all busy. I do think we do have a lot of Game of the Year contenders at the beginning of the year, so I'm
Yeah.
hopeful for this one. Hopeful.
Yeah, and we really don't know what's coming out at the end of this year is the thing. It's like maybe Ghost of Yote. Am I saying that right? I don't know.
I think Yate is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This
You
is
know,
going to be it's one of those insane years.
according to my predictions, we're going to be getting Grand Theft Auto in November. We'll see if that stays true. We'll see. And
Would
then
that be next year's, do you think, or would that be this year's Game of the Year? Like for the award, all the award shows.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't think Rockstar cares about Game of the Year. So,
Yeah.
like, they know they're going to be successful. So, yeah, I just don't. You can't sink it. It's the Titanic. Uh-oh.
They'll release it on the day of the Game Awards. Just be like, who's going to show up to the Game Awards?
Yep.
Not
No
play our
one.
game.
One of the games that you actually forgot to mention that's coming out very soon is Civilization 7.
That's right.
So if you buy the Ultimate Deluxe Super, I forgot what it's called, but if you buy the upgraded edition, you actually get access to the game on February 6th, which is 2 days from when we are recording this. And so, yeah, you get access to it on February 6th. The regular release date is February 11th, next Tuesday. And so that's very exciting. But we, along with all the Kingdom Come Deliverance reviews that have been coming out today, we have also seen Civ 7 reviews coming out today and yesterday. So apparently the embargo is lifted. And it's kind of being met with a lot of mixed, kind of lukewarm reviews. Nobody's saying it's bad, but nobody's saying it's great either. Are you still on Metacritic right now, Phil? What is the Metacritic score of Civ 7?
So surprisingly, because those are the two that pop up, Civ 7 is rocking an 80 based on 73 critical reviews.
Okay.
A couple of, actually just one 100 from The Guardian. And the next highest is Destructoid with a 90.
Okay. Okay, so a little better than I guess. I was going off of the IGN review primarily because they gave it a 7 out of 10, which is not bad by any means. But as someone who's like really looking forward to Civ 7, it was a little disheartening to hear that they weren't down with all of the changes that they made. So I don't know. Are you? I know you're not as big of a Civilization fan as I am. Are you? Does this scare you off a little bit from trying it out?
I think my plan is to do what I always do with a Civ game and wait till it goes on sale.
Yep.
Hopefully, like when it goes to $20 for everything in the game.
Sure.
The Founders Edition. So I was just looking at the different editions on here. $110. Oh no, sorry, $130.
Wow.
I'm looking at Green Man Gaming, who should sponsor the show because of how much you talk about them. It's 15% off there, so $110. That is the cheapest you can get to start playing this game on
the
2 days from now, Thursday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild. I feel like that is, for all the sort of like early launch stuff, I get it to an extent, but man, that is expensive just to get a couple days extra early in the game.
Yeah, that's a weekend. That's all it is. It's not like play a month early. Is there any other content that comes with it? Like, is it like, oh, you get all this roadmap stuff, all these other leaders or civilizations?
Well, let me read what the Founders Edition includes based on their site. You get the full base game, obviously, advanced access, play the game up to 5 days earlier. The Tecumseh and Shawnee pack. Crossroads of the Worlds collection with post-launch content featuring 2 new leaders, 4 new civilizations, 4 new wonders, and a special cosmetic bonus. The Right to Rule collection with wait, that's already. Oh no! So there's there's 2 collections of DLC bundles that both come included with this. The Right to Rule collection, which comes with 2 new leaders, 4 new civilizations, 4 new wonders, and a special cosmetic bonus.
Burnish.
Deluxe content pack, 2 leader persona. So it seems like you're eventually getting some extra, DLC when that comes out.
Yeah.
Great. But mostly it's leader personas. I don't know what those are. Is that something from the old games?
So I think I'm not exactly sure because I haven't heard them referred to as personas before, but I think what that's referring to is there is a change in Civilization 7 where at the beginning of the game you pick a leader and you don't necessarily that leader doesn't necessarily have to be paired with that civilization. So I could be playing as Queen Isabella from Spain, but in the modern age I'm America, or something like. But I'm still playing as Isabella for those bonuses. So I think in that respect, it feels a lot more like a board game as opposed to an immersive experience, which I kind of get because Civilization, if there's any board game that's really a computer game or PC game, it is Civilization. So, yeah, but I don't know. This kind of reminds me of The Sims a little bit in that we're not going to give you all of the content in the standard game so we can charge for all of these little packs after the fact. And I really hate that. That really grinds my gears. But I love Civilization. I will probably deal with it. From what I brought up the IGN review earlier, and from what they were saying is that they've really simplified a lot of things and streamlined a lot of things. And it sounds like hardcore Civilization players are not super excited about that. Because I think there's a surface way to play Civilization where you're just clicking next turn kind of a thing. But there's also if you really want to get into the economics and you're really looking to do the higher tier difficulties, you have to really get into the specifics of am I trading, silk for, whale oil or whatever. And you have to get to the nitty gritty of that. And they seem to have gotten rid of some of that and people aren't really excited about that. But hopefully it should make it more accessible to a wider audience. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that would be cool. Hopefully it is whatever they add to it. I mean, how great would it be if you play a Civ game kind of for the first time and it's not something that scares you off like an older game would. You kind of get hooked and then you have Civ 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to go back and play and discover more of. Probably ending around Civ 5 or 6, honestly, because those I feel like are sort of pinnacle.
Yeah, Civ 5 I think was my favorite Civ for a long time. Yeah. I also will say it's Civ 7 has had great, or Civ 6, excuse me, has had great mod support in the Steam Workshop. So it's I've done lots of wacky games in Civilization where it's I've downloaded Avatar The Last Airbender maps. Or
that's really cool.
Yeah, have I never told you about that? They have a mod where you can put in you're the water tribe, you're the fire nation, you're the earth kingdom, you could be Republic City from Legend of Korra.
That's cool.
The earth kingdom, lots of there's lots of stuff. Or I've done Lord of the Rings mods, stuff like that. So if you're really craving I want Civ 7 to be like Civ used to be, I'm sure there's going to be a mod that allows you to do that. And thankfully, because of the Steam Workshop, you don't have to know too much about modding. You just have to click subscribe. So
boom, there it is.
There it is. All right, Phil, what else is going on in the news this week?
Well, as stealthily as ever, Helldivers 2 decided to drop a new Warbond. I was going to say Warband, which is that guy who rode at the front of the car in Mad Max. He was in a Warband.
I see.
No,
yes.
That sucks.
Rest
a new update and a new Warbond. And a lot of these features, they're doing a lot of bug fixes. They're doing some quality of life stuff. The new Warbond obviously comes with some weapons and things like that, new skins and the like. but it sounds like they added a couple things that are pretty seemingly transformative in terms of the game. They added a shovel. You were telling
Yes,
me.
they did add a shovel. You can dig with said shovel. I think like when you grab a shovel, it's equipped as your secondary. So like you could
Oh.
keep it as like a melee weapon if you really
Hmm.
wanted to. But yeah, I saw they changed. They have a new point of interest, which is samples that are underground, and so you have to dig them up with a shovel. There's supposedly like a shovel nearby, so that seems really cool. And honestly, like I don't know, I will say this Warbond uh, is kind of one of the lamer war bonds. It's not the most exciting, but I'm happy that they're still coming out with new content. And the portable hell bomb seems like a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh yeah, someone's gonna get shot. That thing's going off immediately.
Exactly. Like, why not just strap a nuke to your back? What could go wrong? So, so yeah, that's exciting. Also, the homing grenade. Did you see that?
Yeah, that'll help make flying enemies palatable now.
I guess, unless you throw it and then it auto targets
And then it
something on
charges.
the.
Well, it charges at you. It just brings the grenade right back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which is the Helldivers stuff that I love, like
The
the
chaos.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think the shovel sounds really cool, and if people, here's not if, when people use it creatively, it will make some really amazing like strategies, like digging out a trench and then using that to hold a line. There's going
Yeah.
to be some really cool stuff coming with that. And again, like the Warbond stuff is all interesting. You can pay to get it, and some of the weapons do look pretty cool. There's like an energy gun that shoots like basically like a
Lasers.
DMR. Yeah, but it shoots lasers, but like at a DNR speed, so it's like it shoots more focused
Yeah.
attacks.
Hmm.
So looks cool. I'm really excited for the stuff they're giving us for free, which is one of the many things I love about Helldivers.
Yes. 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 Yeah. I don't know. This might be a war bond that I'm like, I think I'm going to earn super credits for this one and just wait it out a little bit. But I think like they didn't really show off any of the skins or anything for any of the vehicles, which is something that they've had in a lot of, war bonds and updates and whatnot. But yeah, I think also something worth noting, we're coming up on a year of Helldivers 2. And so this seems to be like their little anniversary update. I still think something's going on with the black hole, the Meridian black hole. We've been seeing in the news that there's been some fluctuations happening over there. So maybe something comes out of it. Maybe some superbug.
It's interesting that there. Well, I felt like the black hole would have had to do with the
Illuminate.
what are they? Illuminate, because
Yeah.
like that's a big thing to drop. My theory is they might be. Well, I don't know. This is too wild. It won't happen. My dream and wish and hope is that they make an entirely new like category of enemy to add in.
Hmm.
That comes from the black hole,
Sure.
because that would be a little bit more interesting. I don't know. I just think
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
when you set up a big black hole, you set up this Chekhov's gun. It's just sitting there,
Hmm.
and then you're like, okay, here's the Illuminate, but the black hole's still there. This has to mean something.
Yeah. I mean, I think them creating a whole nother faction with how recent the Illuminate have been added is probably a stretch. But you know what? I would love to see if like the Illuminate came through the black hole. Now they're on the bug front as well. And so maybe you have planets where the bugs and the squids are on the planet during the mission. And so you're fighting multiple factions. Maybe the Illuminate, just like they can turn people into zombies, can make bug zombies. And so there's like a variant of like a warrior or something like that. So I think that would be
Or
crazy.
you end up with something like when you first find the Flood in Halo, and they start fighting each other. It would be kind of cool to be in a fight, and you actually have to team up with like the bugs against the Illuminate. Like
Sure.
the Illuminate hate the bugs because they represent chaos, and like they can't be mind controlled because they're a hive mind anyway. And all of a sudden the bugs like, well, we hate this more than you guys. Bug mount, maybe? I don't know. Listen, I'm just saying. It would also be, I mean, they've said they're not going to drop multiplayer. That would be an interesting thing where, like, dark versions of humans come out of the black hole, like from an alternate dimension.
Oh.
And you have to fight against other humans or players or something. We'll see.
Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy. Yeah, that would be crazy. But yeah, I think this was a good update. I always like when they add gameplay. I always like when there's fixes. You can sprint when you're loading your Siege artillery missiles now. Thank God, instead of
you don't
trying
have to just dribble it.
Exactly, you're just dribbling. I'm glad they got rid of that. So I mean, I'm sure people will still do it, but so they're patching the game, making gameplay fixes. They've added a new Warbond. It would be perfect if they topped off the anniversary with some sort of galactic war incident, including the black hole. Fingers crossed for it. I am hoping. Something else that I am hoping a lot for is our next story, which is Battlefield Labs. Battlefield had kind of a showcase over the last 2 days where they essentially talked about where Battlefield's going in the future and what kind of game they're working on. And essentially what it is it seems like they are gearing up to launch a full Battlefield live service. And Battlefield Labs is designed to be a program where they have the community test things out and they want to expand on those specific things. So it's just like having a test server, essentially, where they're going to make a change. People are going to have access to it, and then they're going to get feedback, and then they're going to change it again to see if they can get it a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. So I think it's a promising format of how Battlefield is going to work going forward. And maybe this is personal for me, I always have problems playing Battlefield games because I just think they're so hard. And they're very counter what a lot of regular shooters are. I guess, and I say that I was about to reference like Halo, but Halo's an old shooter now. But it's like you have to stay in cover. You have to check your corners. Are you going to be sniped? You have to be very thoughtful and very careful. And like my problem with every Battlefield game is that the trailer looks awesome. I feel like I'm in an action movie watching the trailer. And then I get into the actual Battlefield game after I bought it. I step out 15 feet and then I get shot in the head. And then I start back at the spawn point. And over the cycle continues. So I don't really know how they go about fixing that gameplay loop, even through outsourcing quality assurance. But yeah, I guess it's interesting. I'm glad to see it isn't done, but yeah.
I think I used to love Battlefield 3 and then Battlefield 4 to an extent, and then Battlefield 1 when they kind of did the World War One set. Loved those games, but it did take like training to get good at those games. You didn't really have like you had to fight and scrap to get like one kill and then die 30 times. And then you're like, oh, that felt good though. I ruined someone else's day. And you just kind of ride that feeling until you get
another one.
Even KD, or you are actually affecting what's going on in the battle.
Yeah.
So I think they could do a couple things to get that fixed. But what you were saying, what they're describing here, you said this kind of before we started. This is basically you do our QA for us.
Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is. So it's weird. Like, I hope that people who participate in Battlefield Labs are compensated, but it really doesn't seem like they're going to be. So you can sign up to be eligible to participate in Battlefield Labs if you're a Battlefield lover and just want to donate your time. That's your business. But it does feel a little weird that they are outsourcing all of this. And that also, it kind of tells me that they don't have a direction of where they want the game to go. And they're just like, what do you guys want? Like, what do you think we should do with this? And that's nice to a degree when it's already within your idea of what you want. But just being like, you guys decide what the game is. I don't like that, because that just, that means you're not doing your job. Like, you guys have to come up with a plan, not just a way of working.
Well, I have my first suggestion for Battlefield Labs, and that is some sort of recompense, some sort of program to pay the people who are working on it, even if it's just like a discount on the game, or you play like 120 hours and you get the game for free when it comes out. Something to help these people that are paying into this. All that said, yeah, how do you think that they could fix Battlefield to make it more palatable to you, to give it another shot?
I think one thing that I did see in the showcase is it looks like they're really adding in destructible environments back, which is great. Mm-hmm. That's what I loved about Battlefield Bad Company 2, one of the best Battlefield games ever to come out. So destructible environments, and then I would just like to see maps designed to be like more difficult for snipers. And not, I guess that's not necessarily like the right word, because like I want people to be able to snipe. Like, I don't want to just remove that from the game, but it needs to be like, if we're fighting down a street, it needs to be like, unless I'm walking in the middle of the street where there's no cover and I shouldn't be walking, like a sniper shouldn't be able to snipe me when I'm in cover. And I just feel like many of the maps that are designed in Battlefield are just like, well, you could get killed from anywhere. So it's
you
like,
could die at it. And really what they're reminding you is you could die at any time.
Yeah, and it's like, thank you for reminding me what real war is like, where I could die at any moment. So I think also I'd like to see maybe just like a quick match playlist of game types that are a little bit more arcadey, that not necessarily you need to change the gameplay, but it's just like, this is a small map. So this is tight. It's not Call of Duty, but it's in that Call of Duty kind of map size where it's like, you want to be using maybe like rifles or shotguns. It's not ideal for sniping. So it kind of promotes, like, if you just want to like get some experience, grind some experience or something like that, just go in and do team deathmatch in this playlist instead of having to play Conquest and getting sniped and destroyed by vehicles. And there's another thing, I would love to see just an all vehicles mode, like do a giant like tank battle, and don't make it that like, oh well, there's only 3 tanks that spawn at a time. It's like, no, do a 12v12 tank battle. Or like do 10 tanks with jets, 2 helicopters. Yeah, do something like that. So get more specific with your game modes, because sometimes I feel like I step into a Battlefield match, I'm like, okay, there's no vehicle to spawn in on, or I get into a jet, I don't know how to fly it, and then I crash it, and then I feel bad because I wasted
and the
a
jet
vehicle.
Doesn't respond for like 30 minutes, and you're like, sorry guys, I'm trying to learn it.
Yeah, so apparently Phil and I got lots of gripes with Battlefield, but we want it to be better. We want it to be better.
I think they could learn a lot from one of my favorite games that EA has ever produced, which is a multiplayer shooter, Titanfall.
Yes.
The original Titanfall game, granted, the multiplayer was like you would just play the campaign through and through again, but it was like you were doing multiplayer missions.
Yeah.
And give us some bots. Actually, this was in both Titanfall games. There was like little bots running around that were kind of like MOBA spawns, where you just kind of kill them to work up your multipliers and things like that. But just something to allow you to contribute to the battle without, and then when you see like another soldier show up, you're like, oh, okay, all right, I gotta like really juice myself up to get this guy. Or just to make it feel more like a battle. Like, I think that is more interesting. It's cool to have 64 people running on the map, but it just feels more alive when you have like a little bit of extra stuff. Granted, I think a lot of people will hate this particular thing that I'm saying, because a lot of people didn't like the bots in Titanfall. And Titanfall, you were playing as a pilot who is like an elevated human anyway. All that to say, I think it could add some stuff to like keep people interested, or maybe like you play a bots mode where there's 20 people on
there is a bots mode in 2042.
Oh, really?
That I really enjoyed. I think the bots were a little dumber than they should be. But like, I think that's the thing that really like killed Star Wars Battlefront, another EA game, which was that you had to play against people. And for people who are not used to, when you're bringing in a bigger market like the Star Wars market, they're not used to competitive shooters. They're not used to Battlefront being like Battlefield. And so it's like you need to offer people who are not like the Elden Ring players of first-person shooters to like, you can have just a versus bots mode or something like that. So please do something like that. Please, 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 please. All right, we need to move on. Dune Awakening, my most anticipated survival game for this year. We got a little bit of news around it, and that they are starting to pump dollars back into advertising, which we are suspecting that we could be getting a Dune Awakening release sometime in the first quarter of this year. Maybe it doesn't make it first quarter. Right now, the announcement says early 2025. Early 2025 for me means April and before. Might be able to say May, maybe, but that's kind of like that's the summertime kind of.
That's 5 months in. That's about half the year.
Exactly. So
no longer early.
Yeah. So what we did find out, though, is it's going to be coming out on PC first. It is most likely that it's going to be releasing in early access, and that when it comes out to Xbox and PlayStation, which is suspected that it will be coming out sometime this fall on Xbox and PlayStation, that will be its actual full release. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I was going to get the game on PC anyway, so I have no problem with, waiting for the PlayStation or Xbox version later down the line. I'd love to get in on a play test or a beta or something for this game, because there's not really a lot of survival games that come out that actually have good graphics and have good gameplay. And I think I was spoiled by Valheim, and I need a new survival game. I need something to build and work on and whatnot. So yeah.
I agree with you there. I do think. So I've seen lots of gameplay of this game recently. Like within the past couple weeks, I feel like they've been releasing more and more specific gamers with hours of footage, or like, I saw someone was streaming about an hour of it earlier. IGN had their final preview, which they usually have well within like a month of release of a game.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if this is going to stealth drop, or if there's any events that they would announce this at. Yeah. Which would be pretty crazy. I mean, like, it's not like PlayStation is going to do something and stealth drop it, because we know it's launching on PC. All that to say, I'm very excited for it. It looks very good. And I was kind of wondering about this Dune game, like how long it's been in development. Obviously the first Dune movie came out, 2021?
Oh, man. Yeah, I think so, because it was during the pandemic when it came out. I remember watching it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably been in development since then, because the Dune movie did so well. But yes,
and we're likely going to get another, like a third Dune movie. So all I'm saying is I hope the roadmap for this game is pretty long, because it looks like they're taking a lot of influence from the films, just in terms of the visuals and the style of the characters. I'm stoked for this one. I'm gonna say we get an announcement before the end of February. Game launches in March.
Okay. I think that's a pretty safe bet there. That's a good bet.
And if I'm wrong, eat it, listeners.
We'll make you do something on air. Probably drink a beer or something.
Drink a glass of sand.
Spice, all paprika. Just the paprika, the Dune challenge, the cinema
challenge. That would probably get you pretty high, like spice would,
Yeah. The only thing that I'm concerned about with Dune Awakening, Phil, is that it is owned by Warner Brothers. And
well, they haven't done anything bad recently.
Well, the thing is, Phil, they have done something bad recently.
Oh, do you mean the Suicide Squad?
I actually wasn't talking about the Suicide Squad, Phil.
Oh, do you mean hold on, I have to think of another example. There's got to be more than the one that we're going to lead into. But I guess multiverses?
Yes, multiverses. That is correct. So, as we alluded to at the beginning of the show, moving on to our main topic, multiverses is shutting down not only their updates, not only their new characters and maps and their content. They're not just shutting that down. They're taking the game offline on May 30th. You will no longer be able to play the game online. You will only be able to play the game downloaded offline, as like a couch co-op game or just playing AI by yourself. And that, like, I am up a wall about this, Phil, but I know that you were more of the Multiverses fan here, so I want to give you the floor if you have any initial upset thoughts or not upset thoughts.
Yeah. I feel like all of my emotions about this can be summed up with one Donald Glover meme, which is him going, "Good." Uh, not. I played a lot of multiverses. I loved multiverses. It just got so ridiculous. Their updates got so strange and like flighty, and the player base just got so cheap and like it became such a you're chasing the meta character. You're doing the same like couple moves, and then when the new update happens, everybody started playing this character, that character that was basically unbeatable and doing those same things instead of like playing the character they liked and enjoying the game.
Right.
So I did end up deleting it and putting it in a folder that's like, don't download this game anymore on Steam.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I kind of wonder if that had to do with their proliferation. Like the game was popular to an extent. The Reddit was still alive and kicking, and it was ever long in terms of getting a match. But yeah, I feel like the soul kind of slipped out of it. Like even the new characters they were adding were never anything like super exciting. It was Black Adam, Beetlejuice,
I mean,
really random one.
I feel like there was one every update that was more exciting than the other. It's like Samurai Jack, exciting.
Mhm.
Powerpuff Girls, exciting. Other one,
True.
not so exciting. Aquaman,
They
meh,
they have the entirety of the Harry Potter like thing over there at Warner Brothers, and they didn't add one of those or have plans to even add one of those. It seems like. Um, so I don't know. I feel like the licenses that they had access to, they just weren't using that much. The stuff that they did for the characters, while fun and interesting for a little while, just became stale. The new characters were usually buffed, so there was like an increased reason to buy those new characters, and
right.
then they would get patched down to a normal level or below a normal level. So I think a lot of problems with the game, and I am very sad to see it go. Very sad that you can't even just play it with people online anymore. You have to
Yeah.
do couch co-op for it, which like no one's gonna play this game anymore. Yeah, bummed. I'm really bummed about this. Just the direction the game went in general.
I mean, yeah, that's good input, Phil, because like I really didn't know because like I stopped playing probably after season two.
Mhm.
But I was never as into it as you were or as other people seem to be. But yeah, I think like they kind of created a situation, as other games have done this before, where it's like if you're selling characters, you're incentivized to make that character better than the other characters, so people will buy it. And then
Mhm.
you have this problem like that. I think Overwatch ran into this as well. Where so I think like Marvel Rivals actually has a much better approach of the characters are all free. We're
Mhm.
gonna sell you skins. We're gonna sell you other things, but they're all free. You can just play as all of them, and that way it's like even like when Mister Fantastic came out, I felt like he was a bit overpowered, but I couldn't complain about it that much because like I could play as Mister Fantastic if I wanted to.
Mhm.
Um,
Uh,
so
I do think just to talk about Marvel Rivals for a second. I think that it's very smart of them to invent a new or add a new character like Sue Storm,
hmm,
who is voluptuous, and they see that they know their audience is going to get pretty into it, and then give her a very skimpy outfit, which I was like, okay, they're doing this to sell, but they're also doing this for us because they're getting more people to play healers. The Gooners got to play healers, and you know what? Good for them.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, with Multiverses, the thing that really pisses me off is them taking the servers down. Like that's bullcrap. Like it's just like, look, I understand if you're getting to a place where like, okay, your game is not as profitable as it used to be. You can't keep cranking out the content. It's usually I'd say you can't keep paying for the licensing, but everything's in house with Warner Brothers. So it's like, you shouldn't have to pay for the licensing. And so I think it's not unrealistic to be like, okay, we can't keep updating the game, but to be like, we're going to turn off the servers. It's like, do you know how many games that are, I was just talking about playing the Elder Scrolls Online. They still got the servers up.
Yeah.
It's just like, why can't you keep up the servers? I'm sure you could do that at a minimal cost. I'm not saying you need to keep everybody employed and working on that project, but you can get them to a place where it's like, all right, the server is going to work for the next 4 years or something like that, and then cut it off. But there's other issues with this that don't just have to do with the servers. There's like people, if you buy, I believe there's $100 version of Multiverses, where it's like you get 30 character tokens, and it's like they didn't release 30 characters, and so like people paid for things that are never coming out. That is absolutely not okay. And people, I think I've seen some people on Reddit like referencing Concord, with how Concord got pulled and everything like that. But Concord gave me all my money back. Yeah, they gave me my money back. Multiverses doesn't look like they're going to do that. They're already running into some problems. They've had threats, threats to their employees, which, like, if you're talking about like killing somebody over a video game, like that's horrible. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be hassling the employees. But I will say this, you should be hassling the people who made this decision. Not by threatening their lives, but by, expressing your displeasure. And if you're financially a little bit well off, if you have a lawyer, like even if it's your kid or whatever that you bought this for, it's like this is inviting a lawsuit. And I think that it's something that needs to be addressed as video games move forward, especially with Warner Brothers. Like, I get why they stopped supporting Suicide Squad. I get it, but the servers are still online. Like, why are we losing the servers on Multiverse?
You can play the story mode of that game easily, and you can also play it with your friends. That's great. Like, that is kind of what the game was designed to do. And sure, they're not adding new stuff, but you can still play the game. The fact that they're doing this to Multiverses, maybe because it's a free-to-play game, is the issue. That they're not making that initial chunk of money. But pretty much Suicide Squad is free too. This feels like a Zaslavian decision. To quote, for those of you who don't know, Peter Zaslav, Hank Zaslav, I don't know. He's the head CEO over there at Warner Brothers, and is kind of notorious for making some decisions about like their movie properties and things like that are terrible, like canceling the finished Batgirl movie, canceling the Acme or Coyote versus Acme movie that was star-studded and completely finished, and all the people who've seen it said like was really, really fun, but they just canceled it for the tax write-off. This seems like one of those decisions where they're just like, just turn it off. Like, where someone who doesn't know about games or what the atmosphere is like, is just like, we'll just turn it off. Nobody's playing it. Like, we're not making money off of it.
Right.
I think it's going to tank Warner Brothers as a game dev, because people who got burned by this are not going to trust Warner Brothers again with their money. Like,
yeah, I mean, I was joking a little bit about it before, but like with Dune Awakening, I'm like, I don't, like, we're talking about a completely online game. Like, how am I supposed to trust Warner Brothers to keep this game going if I invest, money in it? So it's honestly, I think that, in the early to mid 2010s, EA was kind of like, everybody hated EA for all of their microtransactions and their lack of support with certain things and the problems with like certain games that release like Anthem and stuff like that. But I really kind of feel like Warner Brothers might be taking that, banner of the crappy video game company. Obviously they do a lot of other things with, in the movie industry, but like they're really like, they are not gamer friendly.
Yeah.
Like they did Hogwarts Legacy was a good deal that they didn't impose incredible microtransactions on. But aside from that, like, I mean, next, are we going to see Harry Potter Quidditch pulled because nobody's playing it? Like,
Yeah, most likely.
probably. So yeah.
It makes me wonder what their future is as a gaming company, because they started, in my opinion, with some pretty strong things. Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor were two of the first like Warner Brothers games, and I was like, oh yeah, this isn't just like the Arkham making company. They're doing other stuff, and they're being very like not cautious. They're taking big leaps and jumps with their IP and doing cool stuff. The Harry Potter game, I think, there was a lot of controversy around it when it came out, for sure. But everyone who played the game really seemed to enjoy it. Like I played it myself, and I was amazed by how much it just felt like, oh, this is a Harry Potter game through and through. This is like what it feels like to be at Hogwarts. They did so much right, and now with their kind of turn to making these battle pass games or games as a service games, that they've tanked their credibility, and they've done it, they kind of speed ran it. Like Suicide Squad took the Arkhamverse, which was very highly regarded, no matter what you think of like the last two Batman games, very highly regarded, and tanked that IP. The Multiverses was like, oh, a Smash Brothers game that they're constantly adding characters to, easy money, tanked that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like I have to, with Multiverses being like, because it really released, we played the early version of it, and then they took it down, and then we kind of gave them some leeway for taking it down because they were going to do their official launch, and then they launched last year in May, so the official game would only be available for 1 year. Like that is crap.
Yeah,
Like no excuse, Warner Brothers. You need to get your ducks in a row. And I am certainly losing faith as are we all. So
yeah. Do you think they could turn this around in any capacity? Do you think that because I'm looking at the Reddit for Marvel versus or Multiverses. I was gonna say Marvel versus Warner Brothers. For Multiverses, and they are excited about the gameplay changes that they see. They're excited about the new battle pass. It's a lot of positive stuff, and they're like, and the game's going away. Do you think that there's a world where they're like, all right, we'll keep it online?
I don't think there's a world where they keep it online unless there's some crazy outcry. Like I think they could do feasibly another relaunch where they say, all right, all the characters are free. If you bought character tokens, you're getting a refund. And then just do what Marvel Rivals is doing, which is do a huge skin push. Do what Fortnite does. It's like, just make it about the skins. Don't deny people gameplay. Just make it about the cosmetics. And the hardcore fans will buy those microtransactions.
Oh, yeah.
So, but like, I don't know. For me, when I buy into the game, a free-to-play game, and I'm not given access to everything, I'm just kind of like, well, like how much money do I, like I'll buy a battle pass, but am I really going to be like, oh, I'm going to earn all the Gleanium so I can buy another character, or I'm going to spend, another this to get another character, and so on and so forth. And I don't know. I do think the game needs more content other than their little challenge things where it's like, oh, you do this and then you do this and then you do that. It's tedious. It's time consuming. The gameplay loop is not there. You need to make it more like I can play this game for an hour, 2 hours, and then be done with it, as opposed to I'm going to be doing this chain of missions for the next 5 hours so I can get to the end, so I can get a token, so I can spend it on this thing that I still don't have enough tokens for. Damn it!
The worst part about those missions that you're just is that you need to do them on easy mode first. And on easy mode, you're going to spend more time trying to skip the things that the characters are saying to each other than you are going to do that in the actual fights, because the actual fights are like 2 hits and you win. So then you have to do about 10 missions like that. There's all the loading time, all the character talking. That is probably like a solid hour of doing something that would take you maybe 10 minutes. Then you unlock that on medium. It's a little harder, but it's not going to challenge you. To get like the tokens that you need to get something, you need to play through this about 5 times.
Oh, wow. Okay, 5 times. Yeah. Jesus.
I feel like, it's like easy, medium, hard, extra hard, and then you get like the tokens that you need to get the new skin, get the new this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too much game economy. Like make it simpler. Make it simpler. All right, we are running out of time here. But if there's anything you'd like to add, Phil, have at it. But I feel like we've complained so much about multiverses, like there's nothing else left to say. So
I said it in the beginning of the show. I don't know if it's still in there. I'm very excited about the Captain America skin for Marvel Rivals. It's the Get This Man a Shield skin from Avengers Infinity War.
Yes.
It's the beautiful and favorite Chris Evans. And I'm excited to get that. Hopefully next week I'll be able to talk about Kingdom Come 2 a little bit.
Yeah.
Or Deliverance.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Yes. Yes.
2 Kingdom, 2 Deliverance.
All right. Well, we'll get some review of that from you, and then I'll have played some Civ 7 at that point, and I'll give my thoughts on that as well. But we got to wrap it up here because we are over time. So thank you everyone for joining us for episode 65 of the GGG Podcast. If you don't already subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do so. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're listening to the audio only version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, follow us over there as well. Thank you for being here, guys. Hope you're as mad about Multiverses as we are, even though we hadn't been playing it. And Phil, it was on his do not download list, apparently. I didn't know that.
It was like a bad breakup I had with that game.
Yeah, damn. All right. Well, peace out, everybody.
Peace.